And thank you, Lauren. Enjoyed the children's sermon this morning. We have one tomato plant. One that's producing. We have two others that decided to take the summer off. And, we really have a surprising number of tomatoes from that one plant. So we are enjoying them. Not quite like when Louise and I were growing up and our father planted 1,500 tomato plants. So he knew every restaurateur in town, and he provided tomatoes. Last week, in Linda's insightful sermon, which was also based on John chapter 6, she urged us to think about bread and our experiences with bread. That gave me personally a moment of reverie, I must say. What I recall was coming home from school, and I don't even remember whether I was still in elementary school over here at Bethany or I was in junior high at Northeast, whichever the case. Coming home from school, walking into our house at 7012 Francis Street, and smelling Grandmother Johnson's bread and baking in the oven. My grandfather Johnson, who died several years before I was born, reputedly would not eat anything but Grandma's baked bread. He died in 1936, but by that time, of course, baker's bread was on the market and was probably competing with the home-baked bread. And as I understand, Grandpa Johnson was having absolutely none. He supposedly said of baker's bread, the more you chew it, the bigger it gets. Personally, I never had that problem with baker's bread, and I remember even more the pleasant aromas. We used to have at least two bakeries here in town. One near 33rd and O, that may have been Aunt Betty's, but I'm not sure. There was Wendland Bakery, which was down, I think, around 14th and South Street. And you couldn't drive by either of those bakeries without the pleasant aroma of bread coming through the windows of your vehicle. Jean and I had the same experience when we lived in Fort Worth. Coming into downtown Fort Worth, there was a bakery called Mrs. Bayer's Bread, and it was a wonderful way to be introduced to the city, if you will. Nothing quite matches, however, the aroma that I remember from Grandma Johnson's bread when I walked into the house when I was but a youngster. It seems to me that bread has been viewed almost as fundamental to human existence, as water is. Once wheat or rye or barley or perhaps other grains were grown, one of the first things that seems to have happened to it is that it was baked. It was turned into bread. Being that basic then, is it any wonder that bread became in the Bible a kind of metaphor for life itself? We get into it repeatedly. Our Old Testament reading for this morning is from Proverbs. In this passage, wisdom, or the very knowledge of righteousness and acceptable ways of living, is personified as a woman. And she lays before us an invitation. You that are simple, turn in to those without sense, she says, come, eat of my bread, drink of the wine that I have mixed. Lay aside immaturity and live and walk in the way of insight. A couple of things I think are apparent here. have wisdom. We are simple-minded. We don't have any sense. We don't really know how to live. Secondly, look at how wisdom is imagined. It is imagined as bread. It is imagined as wine. The very attractive stuff which entices us and which nourishes life itself. Wisdom invites us to partake, just as we take bread and wine into ourselves to nourish our bodies. We are invited to take wisdom into ourselves to nourish our souls. Deep within the Old Testament, we frequently find bread and wine as symbols for life. In the Gospel of John, that's very similar, it seems to me, this metaphor, this symbolism, gets mightily amplified. Take a look and listen to John 6:51, to this one verse. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. This is Jesus speaking, of course. And he doesn't stop there. Whoever eats of this bread will live forever. And the bread that I give for the life of the world is my flesh. These are not only astonishing words, but they are, let's face it, in some sense, grotesque words. Eating another's flesh. Is it any wonder that in the late 1st century and early 2nd century, Christians were sometimes accused of being cannibals? But the Christian community took these words figuratively. The Jews, however, which is to say in the Gospel of John, when it says the Jews, it really is referring to the synagogue in the city of Ephesus, where John was most likely written. And speaking of those in the synagogue, the Jews, who had kicked the Christians out by this time, John says, how can this man give it? The Jews said, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? And Jesus goes even further in connection with this kind of symbolism. Very truly, I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. What's going on here? Why does God say this? And why is it said in these very, very stark terms? Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood. But think about it. Through this act, the Gospel of John is saying, Christ abides in us, and we abide in Christ. By faith, by belief, by partaking in the Lord's Supper, we'll touch upon that in a moment. By all these things, I will tell you that as a minister, I have these things. I have done this thing so far as the table is concerned. And yet, how long did it take me to realize what these phrases were saying? I graduated took my first pastorate in Osceola, Iowa. We were there for 5 years. And then we moved to Adel, Iowa, not far, just west of Des Moines. We were there 4 years. But I got to tell you, the biggest issue floating through my mind in those days was, what is it I, as a minister, have to offer to these people that I'm supposed to be offering something to? You know, I could see what the local doctor was offering. I could see what the local attorney was offering. I could see what the attendant at the gas station was offering. My question was, what is it I had to offer? And it was a troubling question for a long, long time. Look, on my own personal experience, reflected on my own life as I was dealing with this, to realize only that there was nothing special so far as I was concerned. Grew up here in Bethany. My mother was a stay-at-home mom in the years in which I remember her. She did serve as custodian here at Bethany Christian for a time. During the war, she worked in some of the defense industry. Dad was on the Lane Police Force for 23 years. Nothing special about me on the basis of these experiences. I started to Nebraska Wesleyan and spent a couple of years there, thoroughly enjoying Wesleyan, but couldn't afford to stay much longer, so ended up down at the university. Close to graduation, but still didn't know what I was doing or where I was going to go. Two people who had great influence on me were the pastors here at Bethany, Carl Burkhardt and Lee Shulman. And one day, when we were standing back here in the office, I remember Lee said to me, "I've been needing to talk to you about ministry." I thought, well, maybe I ought to think about that myself. Gene and I were about to get married, and so I applied to Bright Divinity School in Texas, and then they accepted me. Why but they did. I graduated from seminary, spent 9 years in the pastorate, and still was asking this question of myself: what do I, as a Christian, and particularly as a minister, have to offer? I eventually discovered that in some sense what I had to offer was Christ in me. Christ in me. Understand, I didn't put him there. I had little to do with that. But through faith and through belief, and perhaps in some mysterious way through participation in the Lord's Supper, it seems to me that Christ enters into us. His presence within us is never perfect, because we are flawed creatures. Let's face it, there are times when you couldn't find Christ in John Dale with a magnifying glass, or with an X-ray, or with a CT scan, or with an MRI. I had all of those. But hopefully, there have been times when I allowed Christ within me to control my actions, allowed Christ to be seen in my life, not for my sake, but for those whom Christ called me to serve. Okay, let's go to the Lord's Supper for just a moment here. Interestingly enough, nowhere in the Gospel of John are the words of institution given. Nowhere in the Gospel of John does he institute the Lord's Supper in the same way in which Mark and Matthew and Luke do, and Paul does in 1 Corinthians. That does not happen in John. And yet, That's pretty much what these verses in the 6th chapter of John are all about. They're about Eucharist, or Mass, or Communion, or the Lord's Supper, or whatever you call it. And if you've been around churches very long, I don't have to tell you that there are many, many views of this table and what happens here. In some churches like ours, it is absolutely open to all, regardless. In others, you have to be a member of the denomination. In some, the Eucharist, like here, is celebrated every Sunday. In some, it's monthly. In some, it's quarterly. In some, the clergy have to preside at the table. In some, the laity can preside at the table. And then there are the differences in terms of what the participants think happens at this table. For many, they come to the table because Jesus said, "Do this in remembrance of me." We often find those words carved in communion tables. Do this in remembrance of me. For others, in some mysterious and incalculable way, the elements become the flesh and the blood of Jesus as we take those things into our bodies and into our lives. As I was working on the 6th chapter of John, I came across some words by a Lutheran pastor, Brian Suffragan. And he makes this observation that I want to share with you this morning. Brian says an interesting approach to the whole picture is to take a biological view of eating and drinking. Through the wonders of the human body, what we eat and what we drink become part of us. When we eat bread and drink wine, or eat donuts and drink coffee, or eat pretzels and drink soda, whatever that food and drink is, it ends up nourishing our blood, which in turn nourishes every cell of our bodies. That biological fact can present a very graphic view, Brian says, of Jesus remaining in us. Jesus is not just in our heart or head, but Jesus, as bread and wine, becomes part of every nook and cranny of our entire being. Or more correctly, is flowing through every tiny capillary and cell in our body. However you understand the physiology or even the metaphysics of all of this, it all comes back to this bold statement of Jesus. Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood abide in me and I in them. If Christ is within us, then we have to let that Christ within us go to work. What do we feel called to do? Granted, there are lots of things that we can do here in the church, but we don't spend 24/7 here in the church. The question most of us need to ask is, what can Christ within me be doing daily? Are there family members that Christ within me needs to be serving? Are there people in my workplace, in my neighborhood, downtown, or on some far-flung mission field somewhere that Christ within me needs to be serving? I think in an interesting way, this is where Proverbs 9 and John 6 intersect this morning for us. Remember what Proverbs says, "Come, eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have made. immaturity, and live and walk in the way of insight. Too often it seems to me that instead of letting Christ within us go to work, especially, unfortunately, this can happen in family matters. Instead of letting Christ within us go to work, we let the petulant child within us go to work. Immaturity. Lady Wisdom gives us direction that is both in keeping with wisdom, and it seems to me is in keeping with the Gospel of John as well. Look at your world, both that one you live in daily and at the larger world. What do you see? What do you see out there? Lady Wisdom, and I think the Gospel of John as well, is saying, observe, evaluate, ask questions, think, what does Christ within me see? What direction does the Christ within me want to go? What does Christ within me want me to do? Where does that loving and compassion, that love and compassion of Christ need to be expressed? Just as the Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, Jesus says. So whoever eats me will live because of me. May we live in Christ, and may Christ live